My friends, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off right now. Go and watch Shogun. It is an amazing show. And if you don't have Hulu or Disney Plus, which is the platforms that the show is on, go and make an account, honestly, just for those few days to watch the show. And if you genuinely don't want to make an account on either of those platforms, go to a friend's or some other family member that may have it so you can watch it. I know we've been inundated with some pretty bad television as of late, especially when it comes to things that are adapting the stuff that we know and love. But there is still a good handful of a lot of TV shows that have been pretty good as of recent, and Shogun, I believe, is leading the charge as of right now in terms of amazing TV in 2024. Everything about the show was just done extremely well, from the writing to the costume design to the scenery. Every single detail was meticulously handled, expertly crafted, and flawlessly executed. And you can see that if you watch the behind the scenes, where the directors, the producers, the actors talk about all the time and effort that they spent into making this experience as authentic as it could be for the time that this setting is taking place in 1600s Japan. And with all those pieces combined together, this picture is painted beautifully. But what makes this extra crispy is the writing. And many times have we had settings where everything is just beautifully done, but the writing is just pure garbage that's coming out. And this is not the case in Shogun. Every single actor, from the main three characters to the side characters and even the extras, the way they walked, the way they talked, every single gesture that they had with their hands and feet and their facial expressions. And another aspect on top of the artisticness behind each character is how they all acted differently dependent on who they were. Characters like Lady Ochiba or Mariko, or most of the women in general, how smooth and gentle they were, even when they're trying to get their messages across. Respectfulness, how their gestures and their walking flowed like water. And even to other characters like Toranaga and Ishido, where they're more direct, poignant, sharp with their tone, their voice, their message that they're trying to get across when they swing their arms around or when they walk too. Everything about these characters really just combines together based off of who they are and their messages that they're trying to send across. And on top of all of the acting and the scenery, you get to dive into what the culture was like during those times in Japan, from the honor, the mannerisms, the loyalty, even the thoughts of death and how death is very symbolic to the Japanese people. You even get to see the physical side of the culture, whether if it was poetry and haiku between two ladies, or the plays, the kabuki plays that played in one of the episodes that I'm forgetting which one it was, or even the performances of making green tea, whether if it was in the brothels or if it was between Buntaro and Mariko. But then you also get to see the culture shock that John Blackthorne experiences as an Englishman, and also seeing the intermingling of the Portuguese and their spreading of Catholicism throughout Japan and trying to corner the market in trade. From clashes of religions to political ideologies and self-interests, not a single moment during any of the altercations that happened in this show was I bored, yawning, getting ready to go to sleep. I was glued. And the best part about it is a lot of the scenes were unpredictable. The way how they did their long pauses when someone is about to commit seppuku, and you look into their eyes and you see the sadness, and then you look at the other character and you see the sadness in their eyes, and then you start going, no, this isn't going to happen. Something's got to stop them, right? Like, I like this character. I've grown an attachment to them. And then they commit to the act of seppuku, and then next thing you know, oh my god, you just start bawling because one of your favorite characters has died. And another great thing about this is there wasn't a single moment where I felt stupid watching this, because a lot of TV shows nowadays go about explaining everything about what's going on, from the way how a person feels to a scenario and all that stuff. Almost every episode at the end of it, I would turn to my girlfriend and we would discuss what happened, trying to break down what happened during each scene, what was meant behind that, the meaning of what this character said, or what they did, or why these certain actions happened. And that's what I like about TV shows, is that they make you think about what's going on, especially in a series that is as detailed as this, making my brain think about what is going on, why is this happening. Excellent writing in the sense of everything in terms of how these characters interact with one another and what their motives are. Though I do have to say, there is one instance of a situation being explained, and that is a part where there's a priest that's in a jail that John Blackthorne gets thrown into, but I feel like it's kind of necessary to have that because even the character doesn't exactly know what's going on, and in fact he asks. So as the audience, unless if you've read the books or seen the original movie, you don't exactly know why any of this stuff is happening. So in that one instance of explaining what's happening, I think that's okay, but with the exception of that, it doesn't happen at any other point that needs to be explained. The rest of it is up to you to think about whether if this happened or not, or why this happened. There's just so much going on in this series, it's really hard to not spoil it. This is a must watch. From the intrigue, the poetry, the clash of cultures, the language barrier, which is a very important part, because if you watch it normally, you'll see how the Japanese are speaking Japanese amongst one another, and then John Blackthorne and the occasional Portuguese people are speaking in English, and occasionally John needs a translator to communicate with the Japanese folk who don't know how to speak English in this case, which leads to a point that I want to bring up, kind of a minor nitpick. They're technically speaking Portuguese, and they say that right out the gate. When we hear them speaking English, in the sense of the story, they're speaking Portuguese. Kind of weird to me, but I understand you're probably not going to be able to find somebody who can speak Portuguese and Japanese at the same time, so I can suspend disbelief for that. But I don't think that takes away from the show overall, and I honestly believe that you should watch the show normally. There is a dubbed version, but the beauty behind the original is how John doesn't understand what the Japanese are saying. So when they're communicating with one another and cracking their inside jokes and John's just there, it would kind of seem weird if the Japanese are speaking in English while John is speaking the same language as them. So, and he doesn't understand what they're saying when we can understand everything that's going on. So if you want to watch the dubbed version, I'm not going to, judge you for it, but I wholeheartedly believe you should man up and watch the original and read the subtitles. It hits way better. Trust me. Which leads me to my last critique about the show, is that it leaves you with the biggest pair of blue balls, because the entirety of the series is about how a war is going to break out in Japan, and as each episode passes, that war comes closer and closer, with all the dominoes falling in place to lead up to Toranaga having to fight against the other regents of the land. But that never happens. But I think it's okay, because it's explained why we don't see that war in the last episode. Toranaga says something along the lines of, why send an army when one woman can do the job? But I don't want to go too into detail about that, because that's a lot of spoilers right there. And what I've said is already kind of spoilers-ish, but that shouldn't deter you from watching the show. It is still absolutely fantastic. Those are really my only critiques about it. And even though they're not going to be doing a season 2, I think season 1 is absolutely perfect. Whatever you want to call it. If they do end up doing a season 2 and cover the war, I would be all over it, because this alone was just sublime. Honestly, perfect television. Everything. The characters, the way they talk, the way they gesture, the walking, costume design, scenery. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 TV show. Please go and watch it. And if you have watched it, leave a comment down below. What did you like about the show? What was your favorite part about it? What did you not like about it? leave it down. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe for more content like this. I will catch all of y'all later. Peace.